The Oracle of Luna is a podcast with me, Bridget Engels, as your host. Here we have conversations with real live, present-day goddesses who are actively and courageously doing their magical work in the world. Each episode is a bewitching journey with relevant discussions on topics such as Wiccan pagan spirituality, writing, culture, magical practices, art, ritual, and the craft in its many forms. Merry meet! Welcome to another episode of the Oracle of Luna podcast. I'm Bridget Engels, your host, and today I'm excited to speak with Rachel Roberts. Rachel is the author of LUPA, She-Wolf of Rome and Mother of Destiny, Wolf, and Pantheon-The Romans by Moonbooks. She is also the founder of Wolf Rising Wisdom School and a sacred dance teacher, a priestess, and flower essence coach. Through online community, classes, in-person retreats, and workshops, Rachel initiates embodied mythology, nature, alchemy, and divine connection. She lives in Wales, UK. Welcome, Rachel.
Oh, thank you for having me here.
Yeah, so how's your day or evening going there?
Oh, yeah, no, it's great, although a little bit cold because autumn is definitely seeping in. There's no denying it.
Oh, great. Lucky. Here in Vegas, it's still 102, so I'm going swimming in our pool
Yeah.
after this.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, so we've got a lot to unpack here. Are you ready to get rolling?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. So as I always begin my show with my guest, I'm wondering, how did your spiritual journey with the goddess begin, and what did that look like for you?
Mm. So I think in some way or form, she's always been there. Even in my youngest years, I was brought up a Christian. That still holds an important place for me. But I remember like looking for the feminine. Like I was like, where am I represented? Where is something that I can relate to? And obviously in those beginnings, knowing nothing else, it was Mary Magdalene, it was Mary and the other Mary. Those were kind of like even the saints, were the only feminine kind of I could find there. And then obviously as I got older, I started looking more into my own Welsh mythology, my Welsh heritage, and found the deities and the goddess there. But actually, my first kind of real experience with the goddess actually was a Roman goddess called Minerva. Um, and she was my first in-depth, like real soul connection, which is, I think, it's kind of her fault really that ended up being so interested in the Romans, the Roman deities in mythology. I can blame it all on her, really. So it's
Huh.
woven all the way through. It's kind of changed, and I think it does as we evolve and we change. It grows with us, doesn't it? And a
Yeah.
winding path like life is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it continues a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
Did you go to university and study writing or mythology?
Yeah. So my degree was in history with religious studies.
Ah,
And I actually specialized in medieval, well, a bit of a mix, medieval studies and my history side of it, then my religious studies side. I actually got really interested in other cultures and anthropology and Hinduism. And then with my master's, I went on to study heritage management. So I was looking at how we interpret history and how we can bridge that gap, between people knowing history and experiencing it, not just going to a castle and being bored silly, but actually finding themselves there. And I think that's a really important of my whole message now as well.
Sort of to keep history alive, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because I mean, so many people have always said to me, oh, history's boring. And I'd be like, no, it's so fascinating.
Yes, it's alive and it's constantly moving and changing and growing.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's fascinating, I
Yeah.
think. When did you become interested in wolves and she-wolves, and what do they symbolize to you, wolves?
Mm. Well, Wolf always interested me, and I have a vivid memory of reading Red Riding Hood and thinking, oh, I really feel sorry for the wolf. Like, I'm sure the wolf's not really like that. Like, I want to be friends with the wolf. And I remember that, and it's always stuck with me. So I've always been kind of curious, but also a little bit scared. And that really is Wolf, I think. We all curious about her, it, them, but also a little bit scared, because I feel they represent the wild and untamed parts of ourselves, that kind of that side of ourselves that is free and without judgments, conditions, limitations, without shame, that is stripped off of everything else and comes back to our pure essence. We're curious about that parts of ourselves, but also a little bit scared of it. So, for me, it's always been that kind of that paradox, the predator, yet the caring mother wolf. And that has been the way I've always related to them. I've always had wolf guides around with me. Some of the deities that I've chosen to connect to or who have come with me are connected to wolves. That just seems to be a coincidence, though nothing's a coincidence. But then, of course, it's been LUPA, who has been my primary wolf guide as well.
Why were you drawn to Goddess Lupa, and what does she symbolize and embody?
Yeah, so Lupa came to me at a time when, I mean, I kind of knew of her already, but she really came forward at a time where I was made redundant from what I thought was my dream job at the time. And I'd worked had my degrees and my 10 years in heritage working up to what I considered was my dream job. And then I was made redundant from the job. And I surprised myself by being relieved.
Hmm.
And then I realized, gosh, it's not what I thought I wanted. It was the normal job, it was the sensible job. So it was kind of aligned with what I wanted, but not completely. I wasn't completely fulfilled and I wasn't reaching my potential. And then, so I was in this space of thinking, who am I? Where am I going? Why am I here? Like, what is my purpose? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm without a pathway at the moment. And then I was just reading some old Roman texts, and the foundation story of Rome came up. Obviously, Lupa's the pivotal character in that. And she showed me how the story that she's a part of, I was also a part of that story. I could find myself in it. I related to it. And she showed me how I was in her cave.
So, can you briefly, and your book is really, really cool because it talks about ancient Roman history and the story of Lupa. But can you briefly describe the role of Lupa in the story of Romulus and Remus? And what does the cave symbolize in the myth of Lupa, Romulus, Remus, and what happens there? Because that's a pretty big part of your book.
It is, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I believe like when I was reading the story, that the story, no matter where you find it, is always told from a male perspective. It's about the male characters. Romulus and Remus did this, and this king did that, and the other this other man did
Yeah,
this. And I
yeah.
remember reading it thinking, no, there's a pivotal, like central feminine power in this that it, is making everything happen. And that was the she-wolf. So very, very briefly in the story, um, there's the kingdom of Latium, and in that kingdom, the king is usurped by his brother. His brother takes the throne, does not want any rivals, so he feels threatened by um, his brother's daughter, Rhea Silvia. He locks her away so that she can't have any heirs, can't have any children. She's impregnated by the god Mars, who becomes the father of Rome because she births Romulus and Remus, two twins. The uncle then tries to kill them, commands that they get put into the river. Somebody obviously has a heart somewhere along the line because they're put into a basket instead on the river. The basket goes
That
all the way down the river.
sounds familiar.
It does. It happens a lot in foundation
Yeah,
stories of many
yeah,
cities and cultures. There's always a wolf as well, which is interesting, but it's important.
yeah.
So this basket just happens to turn up at the feet of Lupa, of the she-wolf. She just happens to be there waiting. She just happens not to eat them as she takes them out the basket. She suckles them. She gives them her breast milk. She looks after them. Men come to attack them. She protects them as her own. She then takes them to her cave, and they spend time with her in the cave until they're ready to then be taken by a local farmer. They then transition and become, eventually the founders of the city of Rome, and Romulus becomes the first king of Rome. So when I read this story, I realized that in this place where I was redundant, where I didn't know who I was, where I was going, I knew that I was like those babies. I'd been thrown in a basket down the river, not knowing where I was going and who I was anymore. And I landed at her feet. This is why her story was brought to me. And I knew that she was taking me into the cave. So I kind of call it, the cave. The she-wolf is like a dark night of the soul,
Yeah.
this pivot place, kind of this place where we go into the darkness. So you're down there with her in the dark. So all you can do is feel yourself. All you can do is know yourself next to her, kind of her wild body there in the dark. You're stripped away of, again, these judgments, these limitations, these conditions, this shame. So you've got none of that. So you're wild and untamed. You're free there with her. And then in that darkness, you can see the gemstones, the gold dust that's there in the earth, in the darkness of the cave.
Hmm.
And she will help you to find that. And then that explains perhaps what you can learn from that experience of going into the dark night of the soul. So you can return back out again. She gives you a reason to return back out, and it's about clarifying your purpose. So why did you go through something in the cave?
Yeah.
That's going to explain a little bit about what your destiny is.
Kind of like a heroine's journey in the tomb or the womb. You
Mm-hmm.
have to go
Yeah,
deep into the
exactly.
depths of your soul and then to be able to rise, ascend from there.
Yeah, definitely. Uh-huh.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your newest book, Wolf, Untamed. Wolf, Untamed, Courageous, Empowered, an inspirational guide to embodying your inner wolf. And what inspired you to write this book?
So I didn't know this book was coming. It's one of those
Uh,
things I sat down to write another book, and it just wasn't happening. And I don't believe in writer's block. I just believe that things aren't aligned, so it's not the time yet.
yeah, yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'm not meant to write where I was trying to write. So I said, whatever's going to come through. And then Wolf came through. And it makes sense really, because it's a kind of broader look at wolf, the wisdom, the example of real wolves, the deities, the mythology, the ways that you can work with wolf spirit. It's about that. So it's kind of broadening out from not just LUPA, but all kind of different types of
Yeah,
wolves, that how you can involve them on your spiritual path.
yeah. And why do you think the wolf archetype is so important for women, especially? Are there divine essences or spirits in wolves that can act as guides or guardians to us?
Yeah, definitely. So I think Wolf kind of it calls to women because of those expectations. Like I said, we have on us, we have so many conditions, and a lot of us just long to just strip that away. And to just howl,
Mm.
to just like there's a scream within us all that wants to howl in the woods and just let it all out. And I think it's a temptation to power as well, like true power, not like the corrupt power that we see in the world, but embodying and sitting in our own power. The
Mhm.
wolf is powerful, it is strong. And I think that women want to reclaim that part of themselves. And also, the wolf is made out to be the bad guy in many stories and tales, the wrong one, the ugly one, the scary one. And how many names are we told that we are? And we're made to feel shame for who we are. Let the wolf can help us to reclaim our authenticity,
Mhm.
to not be scared of ourselves, not fear who we really are, but embrace that and to run in that wildness.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, definitely about sovereignty and meeting our wild side and honoring the wild spirit within each of us. So that's really
Mm-hmm.
important, and it's not really taught to us, right? We have to find it within us and go
Yeah.
through our own evolution and journeys that take us through the twists and turns and the disks and valleys of life to learn who our sovereignty, who our wild essence is within us and
Mm-hmm.
embrace it. Can be very
Yeah.
difficult and take a long time.
Yeah, I think it takes courage as well, which is why we
Yeah.
need the wolf, because the wolf is courageous. So I feel like every time someone's told us what we should be, we put on like a piece of clothing that hides our true form. And then we have to, with the wolves, take off each bit of those clothings to reveal who we are underneath. And it does take great courage. So often, I find that when you need something like courage or power or strength, it is the predators that we lean towards because they're the ones that can give us their example and give us their probably like extra strong energy, I suppose.
Yeah. And wolves, the way that they present in the world, in the wild, they can be part of packs and
Hmm.
fiercely loyal to their pack, and then also lone wolves, right?
Yeah.
Which is intriguing, the dichotomy between being part of a group and also being lone. Can you talk a little bit about that? Why those two attributes might be important for us?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I find a lot of people come to me saying, "Oh, I really relate to the lone wolf. I felt like a lone wolf my whole life." And I like to remind them that the lone wolf is a period of time, is a transitionary step. It's not a forever. So that lone wolf period, is when real wolves are leaving, they leave a pack, because they want to go and make their own. So they go out into the wilderness and, metaphorically, that's the time about you're discovering where you want to go, who you are. Like I said, you're stripping off those layers, coming back to your authentic self. You're finding what it means to run in the way you want. And then, real wolves will eventually will find a partner. They'll create their own pack. So that authenticity time, as or with the lone wolf is about kind of coming back to discover who you are. And then when you discover who you are, you know what your jigsaw piece looks like. So you know how it's going to fit into a jigsaw, which is your pack, where
Yeah.
all the bits contribute. So it's a kind of I always remind
Hmm.
people that okay, yeah, it's really good to be alone, to have time on our own, maybe go on silent retreats, go off on a walk. It gives us time to remind ourselves who we are. But at
Hmm.
the same time, the pack is really important. It's a place where we can be seen, where we can be heard, where we can engage and give and receive love, and contribute,
Yeah.
give our own creativity so that they're both vital. And, we may have several periods of lone wolf, but we do always come back to the pack. And it's not just about, it being a relationship. I mean, the pack as our community, our family by blood, and then maybe family we choose as well. So,
Yeah.
but the pack is hugely important because as the wolves show us, it teaches about how diversity and difference is needed, how every single wolf contributes in their own unique way, and every wolf is welcome. They have the big wolves and little wolves. You have them all doing
Hmm.
different tasks, and helping and contributing in their own way. And that's a really important reminder to us, about inclusion, that we are all needed. There's all something that we can offer. We are valuable and we will be valued somewhere,
Hmm.
and to go where we are valued.
Yes. I like what you said about being the lone wolf for a while, and we often go through periods of loneliness, and we have to really stay with those periods as the lone wolf because I think it gives us confidence to later ascend and then come back to the pack, right? If we didn't go
Yeah.
through that period of the dark night of the soul or the loneliness or the dark times, we wouldn't be able to contribute with confidence and
Hmm.
courage later.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we need that. Like one of the
Yeah.
examples of a lone wolf that I love is Skadi. And
Yes.
she's a Norse, from Norse mythology. And I just love in her story that, she marries, the god of the sea, and she's like, okay, but I don't want to live by the sea. I want to live in the mountains.
Yeah.
She's really kind of like, I know what I need and I'm sticking to that. And it's about that compromise that honors what you need and honors what the other needs as well. And finding kind of like that way to find fulfillment.
Hmm. Hmm.
And she's a great example and a guide for any lone wolves.
Yeah, absolutely. She's about boundaries and sovereignty and also leadership. She's kind of a leader of the pack, right? She
Yeah.
has she has a companion wolf, right? But then she also
Yeah.
kind of leads the other wolves, which I find fascinating. Yeah. And also you wrote in your book about Hel, Bridget, Diana, a bunch
Mhm.
of different wolf goddesses, and they have different symbols. And can you talk a little bit about what their wisdom is and how you develop their symbology as it
Yeah, of
relates to
course.
wolves?
So, yeah, of course. Yes, there's many kind of goddesses and gods, in fact, that embody kind of the wolf, wolf archetypes. Some
Yeah.
have, wolves as companions, wolves in their mythology, and then some themselves just kind of really embody those ideas about wolf. So yeah, so Hel, I feel that she really embodies kind of the archetype of grandmother wolf, actually. And I know in her
Yeah.
mythology she is kind of a daughter, but um in her kind of mythology she's about kind of claiming what she's given. So Odin says, oh, well, you're now going to be the ruler of the underworld, and she's like, okay, but this is my underworld now. I live here on my terms. I do what I want to do. Not, and won't be under your rulership. So she kind of makes the more than the best of what she's been given, she makes it hers. And
Mm-hmm.
so that she's really
Mm-hmm.
sitting in that kind of that grandmother energy of, she's living on her terms now, like
Yeah. The crone,
like,
right?
yeah, exactly. I love it when kind of older women say to me, yeah, I'm at that stage where I don't care anymore what anybody else
Right.
thinks. She's
I've
kind
been
of
through
like that
everything.
energy. And you're like, wow, that's amazing. And then you get other goddesses that are like, Artemis, that's
Right.
embodying kind of that maiden energy. So she's about kind of that exploration, that adventure. Think of the wolf pup that is going out and exploring. What does it mean to be in this fur, in this body? How does it feel to run in the woods? And the pups
Hmm.
will often play, and play using play as a way to learn, to gain experience, to gain knowledge and,
Explore.
and
Yeah.
wisdom. Exactly. And she very much embodies that energy. And then you have other wolves like Bridget and Ellen, who embody Mother Wolf.
Mm.
Mother Wolf, who is about the home,
Yeah.
about the den. She's and not in like that stereotypical way that women should be at home doing the washing up or the cleaning, but in the way that the den I really see as like our womb space.
Hmm.
It's where creativity, where is birth, where we bring forth, whether that be babies or whether that be a home or whether that be our business. We have that kind of energetic of being able to bring forth from that space, and it's about receiving as well, about being able to receive. So when a real she wolf is in the den, she'll allow the other wolves of the pack to bring her food. If she was a bit like, no, I'm only going to fend for myself and
Yeah.
I have to be strong all the time, then she would starve because she wouldn't be able to go out and hunt for food.
Right.
So there is that time. By actually the most courageous thing we can do is to ask or receive help. That's what she's about. And people like Ellen and Bridget can help us with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How did the Wolf Woman Rising Wisdom School develop, and what's its purpose? Because I know that's a big part of what you do, right?
Yeah, so Wolfram Rising is my wisdom school, and it's a way for people to connect to me from all over the world. So I'm teaching about kind of the three pillars of my school, which are courage, trust, and authenticity. So I work with the wolf wisdom, of course, and then nature, kind of connecting to nature's magic, and then also how we can embody kind of the goddess energy. I primarily work with Roman goddesses and gods, and I do work with both gods and goddesses because I believe it's important to have that balance, that harmony within ourselves. We can go too far rejecting one or the other, and we need a balance and a harmony. So, Wolfram and Rising is online, and it involves, my wisdom school, which is teaching people through workshops and courses. And then obviously I've got the community aspect, which is broader with social media, my YouTube channel, etc. But it's really
Mm-hmm.
about, it kind of started out with having a somewhere to share kind of the content and related content of my books, and it's become
Mm-hmm.
a whole wolf pack in a gigantic forest.
Much more interactive, it sounds like, right? For
Yeah,
people all over
yeah,
the world.
definitely.
And are they drawn to the wolf? archetype, do you think?
Yeah, I find like a lot of people have had wolves somewhere in their
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
somewhere like, and another archetype I work with is lions, because I'm a Leo and it very much resonates with me. But a lot of people like, normally come to me because they've just had a calling from the wolf. Like
Yeah.
they want to, they're curious, or they have had a wolf guide at some point. And I find wolves are very, very willing and present to work with people. Like they like dogs, I suppose, they're their descendants. They really want to work with us and be with us, and they will be very, very present in your life. As soon as you open that door, they will start howling and they will be there, so
Hmm.
yeah, I find a lot of people kind of do connect to the wolf, yeah,
Yeah.
energy, definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, do you have any upcoming plans for the future, such as new books, events, classes, workshops?
Yeah, so Wolf and LUPA are already out. My next book coming out in January is Pantheon-The Romans, which looks at religion, temples, sacred landscape, priestesses, gods, goddesses in ancient Rome. So it's covering kind of the whole pantheon of
Huh.
Rome. And then I'm currently just finishing up the book that's coming after that, which is about Flora, who is the Roman goddess of flowers, springtime, sensuality, and sexuality.
Hmm.
So I'll be sharing a bit more about how flowers have helped me to heal my connection to my sexuality, about being
Hmm.
sexy and embracing beauty.
And
Yeah.
the power of flowers, flower power.
Yeah, they are. They're so powerful. They really are. So
Yeah.
yes, that's and then there's lots of
Cool.
things going on online, workshops, conferences, etc.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, sounds like things are really popping, which is awesome. That's really cool. For our listeners, Rachel's going to give us a short cave meditation, right?
Yeah.
Related to wolves. So it's going to be. Oh, and before we jump to that, Rachel, what is your website and social media so that our listeners can find out more about you, your books, but all your magical offerings?
Yeah, so wolfwomanrising.com is my website. That's the best place to begin, to start. All the links on there for everything. The place that I'm most present on is YouTube. That's where I put like mini workshops, my Goddess Wisdom series, guided meditations, etc. They're all on my YouTube channel. But if you like community, I've got a Facebook group. If you like behind the scenes of, this is me eating an ice cream, that's on Instagram.
Yeah. Okay, and under your name, Rachel Roberts, right?
Yeah, so look at Wolfwoman Rising
Okay.
or Rachel S. Roberts. You'll probably find me either way.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, we're gonna let you take it away, Rachel.
Fabulous, great. So just placing your hands upon your body, somewhere that feels good and right for you. Just starting that point of connection and touch, and just saying hello to your body, reminding yourself that it is here and that it's yours. And taking a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then in your mind's eyes, you continue to breathe deeply in and out. You feel yourself transitioning to the great opening of a cave. And that cave is high up in the hills or a mountain. And you feel the opening of the cave around you, around your head and down by your sides, and the stone beneath your paws. You may feel beside you the presence of a wolf, or maybe wolves. Just welcome them now. Invite a wolf guide or guides and feel their strong presence right next to you, holding space. As you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, feel them share their strength and their courage, and feel it coming in through into your body. As you breathe out, you feel that courage and that strength. seeping down through your body. And you feel your wolf or wolves around you letting out a loud howl. They reach their heads up, lifting their necks, and they howl. And perhaps you feel yourself called to join in, to let go, to allow yourself to freely express and be. And feel that call as a call to self, all that you are, all that you can be. When that howl finishes, you look out from the opening of the cave, the top of this hill or mountain. You look out and you see stretches and stretches of forest and lakes and rivers running out greatly into the distance, all the way to the horizon. You see this great expanse, and you feel the potentiality of that. How anything and anywhere is possible. And you take it all in. You take a deep breath, being strong in your body, centered, grounded, powerful as the wolf, and see before you everything and anything that is possible, perhaps your greatest and biggest dreams. You feel a burning of that courage to go out, to explore that great expanse, to explore the horizons, the ways that you could run through the woods, the ways that you could play in the river, the ways that you could be wolf, wild, untamed, courageous. And taking a few more deep breaths in and out. And just asking yourself, what is possible? What is possible? What is possible? And being in the question, not needing to know the answer, but just keep asking yourself, and ask yourself now that question again and again over the next few days, the next few weeks. What is possible? Be in that question and just allow it to open. Taking one last deep breath, breathing in and out. And then when you feel ready, you can open your eyes again. Just carry this energy, this strength, this presence with you now as you carry on your day or your evening.
Blessed be. Thank you so much, Rachel. We're running out of time, but I just wanted to
That's fine.
thank you so much. That was beautiful and powerful. And I just want to thank you for being a bridge between history and spirituality and mythology and well-being, and inspiring us with the wolf archetype, and allowing the wolf's spirit to be within us. And so thank you so much for being on the show today. And thanks for all our listeners for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Best best of luck on all your future endeavors. And I'm gonna sign off now. So blessed be. Bye-bye.